Nearly 7,300 players have been eliminated from this main event. Past champions have been vanquished.
It is over for the youngest champ ever.
And stars have fallen.
Bill Ivey is no longer a threat at the main event.
Voices have been silenced.
I deserve better, but that's the way it goes.
And legends have gone home.
And Johnny Chan's main event is over.
But for the 21 who remain, the dream is still alive. The most coveted bracelet in the world and nearly $9 million are up for grabs. Who will step up and claim poker's biggest prize? Who will live the dream? Welcome back to the Rio and the World Series of Poker presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky with Norman Chet. I'm Lon McCarran. The 39,000 square feet inside the Amazon room now holds just 3 tables as the cream of the crop has risen with only 21 players remaining.
See you in November.
It's a young group chasing this world championship and a diverse group. We have some bracelet winners, some pros and amateurs alike. Pascal LaFrancois won a $1,500 no-limit event this year. He's holding court at table 3 with former chip leader, amateur Kun Soy Wen. Michael Mizrachi took down the Poker Players Championship.
You're wearing that bracelet. It's a good-looking bracelet, man.
There's a better-looking one out there.
He remains at table 2 with a chance to claim a share of the Player of the Year title. At the featured table, Matt Affleck is continuing his impressive follow-up to last year's 80th place finish, while Joseph Chong is looking to add to the biggest chip stack in the room. Only 9 will advance to the final table. Let's take a look at who is in the best position to do so as of now. The top stacks have an international flair with 3 Canadians, Jonathan Duhamel, LaFrancois, and Matt Jarvis, as well as Italian Filippo Candio. They're all well above the chip average, which is almost $10.5 million.
And there is the chip leader, Joseph Chung, who's at the feature table along with several other big stacks. Filippo Candio is currently in 5th place. Matt Jarvis is in 7th. And there is my honorary godson, Matt Affleck, who is in 8th.
This has got to be like the quietest feature table ever.
Yeah, what's going on? We should start talking more. I think it's my fault because I lost a few hands, and I'm normally the one talking so much. So now I'm probably just all pouty or something.
Jason Sentai, usually a friendly table presence.
It's gotten too serious.
Jason, despite a couple of recent setbacks, is in 9th place, and that is the #1 goal when this day 8 is done. Be in the top 9, the November 9. All right, action on Filippo Candio, the 5th biggest stack. On the Jack Link's Beef Jerky Pocket Cam, 10-4 off.
Candio usually quite outgoing. He looks too serious.
He's not going to play this hand. Habib with a tray and an ace. And he'll fold. Joseph Chung lays it down to Jason Sentai on the button with Queen 5 of spades.
He plays no-limit hold'em in pot-limit Omaha cash games for a living online.
He's going to raise it up to 380. Matt Affleck now with a couple of 10s.
He lost his glasses after day 7 of the main event, never found them, doesn't need them.
Affleck with a re-raise to 1.2 million.
I wish Matt Jarvis had lost his glasses too.
Pocket jacks.
He used to caddy for his father who played on the PGA Senior Tour.
He's still wondering what his first World Series cash will amount to, and he makes the call for just over $1 million more. So back to Sentai now. The original raiser. And Jason will lay it down.
It's like 14-ish.
Gentlemen, we have 2 players.
These 2 guys starting the hand with almost identical stacks. The flop 4-9 Queen. Jarvis still best with his jacks. Affleck's pocket 10s coming up way short.
Affleck more mature than he was a year ago, but he still plays a lot of hands and makes a lot of plays.
Puts a lot of pressure on his opponents. That's a bet of $1.6 million.
Jarvis usually plays quite deliberately. He says when he rushes things, he plays poorly.
With the better hand, he makes the call. That Queen may worry both of them, though. All right, turn card is a jack. Jarvis picks up a set of jacks. Affleck now with an up and down straight draw.
Affleck might put Jarvis on a heart draw, and it looks like he wants to bet his pocket 10s again.
Matt Jarvis probably very happy to see chips going in the pot from Matt Affleck. $2.7 million.
I really do think the sunglasses slow down the math Jarvis does in his head. Takes his time.
Jarvis Wow, that's a raise to $6.2 million with the 3 jacks.
I hope my boy, Matt Affleck, is reconsidering the strength of Jarvis's hand.
Jarvis with a strong group of supporters, including his sister Danielle in the blue shirt, and next to her, his girlfriend Juliana.
3.5 more.
It's nothing more if you fold, buddy.
Oh, Matt's not folding. He makes that call for $3.5 million.
Maybe my guy does need his glasses back.
Oh, boy.
Big pot building here.
Over $18.5 million. All right, so these two see a river card. A deuce of clubs. Jarvis now with the check mark. Affleck left only with pocket tens, and he checks.
I doubt the third club hitting the board worries Matt Jarvis much. I've got to believe Jarvis knows he has the best hand.
With the set of jacks, Jarvis considering his next move.
All in.
All in declared.
Well, that all in by Jarvis actually would put Matt Affleck all in.
Affleck barely the shorter of the 2 stacks.
Matt Jarvis is still pushing his chips in. I hope Affleck's not calling. I told his mom I'd look out for him, and if he missteps here, he'll be walking out of the main event.
What a big moment for Affleck. This is for his tournament. And he lays it down to Jarvis. That was a good laydown, Norman, but it was costly for Affleck.
You're right, Affleck lost 2/3 of his stack there. Big blow. He still does have nearly 30 big blinds left.
And those chips go over to Matt Jarvis, and that puts him over $23 million here on day 8. Affleck took a real chance calling on the turn and eats a $9 million chip loss. He saved himself from total ruin here on day 8, but he must now rebuild to be one of the vaunted 9 come November.
Norman, 8 long days of poker have left the remaining players physically exhausted, mentally drained, and all longing for the finish line. Lucky for them, the main event marathon is nearing its end.
Lon, forget the players. I'm exhausted, but I have enough strength left for one more pep talk. That's right, Matt Affleck. I'm talking to you. I felt for you when things went wrong last year, but forget the past and keep running. I know you just took a big hit, but forget the past and keep running. Listen here, little buddy. Put your head down, build your stack up, and make me proud. Plus, I did make that promise to your mother, and Matt, she kind of scares me.
Well, that was not a total Matt Affleck blow-up, but he may have lit the fuse. He's left with less than half the chip average and a lot of makeup work to do. It does take a little magic to make it through day 8, and over by table 2, professional magician Donnie Mizrachi showing off his skills to Frank Casella.
I used to do that same trick when I was working at the CIA.
Of course, both have an interest in the goings-on of Donnie's brother Michael. The grinder can tie Casella for Player of the Year honors with a main event championship. Another player with a chance to make history here is Mikhail Sipkins. He could break Joe Cata's record as the youngest ever main event champion. He's sitting here with Redmond Lee, a 24-year-old London poker pro with pocket 4s.
He was 441st at the 07 main event.
I'm all in.
He's all in for almost $2.5 million. So Redmond Lee putting his tournament on the line. Now over to the grinder. King Jack.
Rags to me.
He does fold to Mikhail Sipkins on the button with 2 10s.
If Sipkins wins the main event, he would beat Joe Cata's youngest ever mark by 4.5 months.
The 21-year-old from the Netherlands makes the call to put Lee at risk. Action on John Racner. He folds.
Go, Pat?
Yeah.
Both hands, please.
Yep, the 10s dominating Redmond Lee's 4s. Mikhail's buddy and Redmond's girlfriend wish each other luck.
You know, I think we saw Lee kissing her a couple of days ago here. I believe that kind of thing should be banned from the main event.
All right, here we go. Redmond Lee at risk.
One time.
He's using his one time right here. You get a one time, only one time. You may as well use it in an all-in when you're behind on day 8 of the main event.
2 of the young guns of this main event. And now here's the flop. 7-6 Jack. Sipkins still ahead with the 10s. Lee got no help.
Lee looking for a 4 or runner straight or runner diamonds. And if he hits any of that, no kissing.
All right, turn card. Ace of clubs. Sipkins still way ahead.
Redmond Lee looking for a 4 and a 4 only, or he is out of here.
The river card is a queen, and that will do it. Pocket 10s for Sipkins. Send Redmond Lee back to London in 21st place.
second main event cash in 4 years, and this is a healthy one.
Over $317,000 for Redmond Lee.
No.
Well, that cash sure trumps his $29,000 cash back in 07. Sipkins picks up an extra couple of million chips. We're down to 20. Redmond Lee's departure moves everyone a step closer to the November 9.
It's just like poker. At first you play, and maybe you're not so good. So you practice, and then you practice some more. And you know what? Eventually you find your rhythm, your game, and you get better. And there you are, a poker player. Learn to play better poker for free at the world's largest online poker site, PokerStars.com, and find the PokerStar in you.
The World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Back inside the Rio, where only 20 players remain in this 2010 main event, each fighting for a seat at the final table. Let's take a look at all of the chip counts. Joseph Chung still on top. Matthew Jarvis has moved up to second place. John Racner with 21 million is fourth. Dewey Lay in ninth place. Michael Mizraki is still grinding in 14th place with 5.9 million. Matt Affleck, one of the short stacks, he has been chopped down to 4.6 million, less than half the chip average.
Come on, Matt. I just got another text from your mom.
He's got to get some chips back. As for the new man in second place, Matt Jarvis, well, this game of poker apparently suits him quite well. He may have finally discovered his true calling.
I'm 25 years old, currently not working. The last job I had was maybe like 4 years ago. I worked in a lumber mill. I had like 12-hour graveyard shifts. It was the worst ever. But I had a whole bunch of different ones. When I was super young, I used to go dig golf balls out of the ditches and clean them up and sell them back to the golfers. I worked as a mechanics assistant on small like Cessna planes. I used to sell knives. I was a dishwasher. I worked at a golf course cleaning golf carts. I worked as a cashier at one point. I worked at a cafe. Just anything I could do to make a little bit of money. I really realized that I didn't much like working for other people. I kind of liked working for myself. And ultimately in poker, you're working for yourself. It just kind of turned into me going to casinos and started playing online. Just kind of slowly got to a point where I was doing okay at it. I like it. I'm just happy to be able to do what I'm doing now. This is my first World Series event to actually cash in. It's pretty lucky. I finally did it, and it's way bigger than anything I've ever dreamed of, and it potentially can be a lot more.
Jarvis would fall asleep sometimes while working at the lumber mill. The business shut down a few months after he left. Maybe it closed because everyone working there was falling asleep.
Action here at this feature table. Chip leader Joseph Chung with Queen Jack.
Doubt Chung ever worked in a lumber mill.
He folds. Jason Sentai.
He was an electrical engineer.
He lays it down. Affleck.
He was a cashier.
Looks down at pocket aces in the nick of time.
Pocket aces. Now we're running in the right direction. You go, Matt.
Matt with a raise to 375, a smallish raise, not even 2.5 times the big blind. Matt Jarvis now on the button with ace-king.
He actually was a pretty good knife salesman. He sold $100,000 worth of high-end kitchen cutlery.
A re-raise to $1,050,000.
If Jarvis works on commission, I don't like his income prospects on this hand.
The blinds fold. Back to Affleck.
All in.
An all in and snap call. It'll be Affleck's aces way ahead of Jarvis's ace-king.
Ace-king running into those aces, Lon, and Matt Affleck in great position to get some chips back.
His first time I've been all in all tournament.
His first all in, and if he gets unlucky, he will be all out.
Yeah.
Jarvis trying to finish the job he started earlier on Matt Affleck.
Where did his sister go?
Jarvis's supporters would love to see a come-from-behind win. All right, Affleck at risk. Here is the flop. And there's an ace. That's a sight for sore eyes for Matt Affleck.
That's all right, buddy. You can show a little emotion.
Good start. Good start.
Red, please.
Affleck doesn't want to see runner flush for Jarvis.
Turn card. A tray of spades ends the hand. Jarvis drawing dead. Affleck doubles up.
My Matt gets some chips back from the other Matt. He still owes you $3 or $4 million, though.
He does. Affleck up to $9.5 million now. Wonders what if he hadn't given away $9 million to Jarvis earlier. Jarvis still left with more than $18 million. Let's go to table 3. A short stack Patrick Skander re-raised all in before the flop for his last $845,000. Soy win called, as did Pascal Lefrancois.
3 amateurs going toe-to-toe. toe-to-toe.
The flop now with Scander at risk is Queen 9-10, 2 diamonds. Soy Wen first to act. He's going to bet it. $1.3 million. LeFrancois folds.
You got any of that? Please.
Soy wins his top pair, and he's got a straight draw. Scander with ace-7 of hearts.
I need an ace.
Scander's best hope is an ace.
Ace. Maybe, I said jack first. I definitely don't want to jack. Anybody folded aces? Don't tell me.
Turn card, another 10. Queen's up now for Soy Wen.
Patrick Scander down to a 3-outer.
Diamonds, I think.
He needs an ace.
It's a king on the river. Soy Wen knocks out Patrick Scander.
No heads up this year.
Scander's first trip to the main event is a profitable one. He wins over $317,000.
Good payday for the Northern California business owner.
And another amateur, as you mentioned, Norman. Soy Wen pads his stack a bit. We are now one knockout away from being down to the last 2 tables at the main event. Welcome back inside the Rio, where all the action in the Amazon room has moved to one corner, where only 19 players on 3 tables remain. Here at table 2, Mikhail Seitkins looks down at ace-7 off.
He used to play chess, transitioned to poker. You know, Lon, both games have kings and queens.
Yeah, you're right about that, Norman, but each side only has 1 king and 1 queen. Brandon Steven now after the raise from Seitkins to $380,000. Steven with 6-4 of spades, and he makes the call from the big blind.
The car dealer from Kansas. 2 more amateurs, heads up.
You can bet me off now?
I'm rooting for the kid.
Steven, one of the very short stacks, under 2 million chips.
That's right.
Now I'm really pot committed now.
I'm definitely rooting for the kid.
All right, Seitkins and Steven.
I check.
And Brandon Steven checks dark. All right, the flop is Trey 5-7. Steven flops a 7 high straight. He checked dark. Seitkins with top pair, top kicker.
I'm still rooting for the kid.
I'm all in. Call.
Steven calls all in. He's the shorter stack, and he flopped the joint.
We have no chance, but I'm still rooting for the kid.
And it looks like Steven's brothers, Johnny and Rodney, will hang around a little longer.
Brandon Steven all in and very comfortable.
How did you call the flop? I took a time. Blank that turn, dealer. Put a 2 on. No, put a, yeah, 2's fine.
Turn card is a queen. That's blank enough. Seitkins drawing dead and puts $4.4 million into the account of Brandon Steven.
Steven still only with 27 big blinds.
I've been waiting on that 4-6 of spades all day.
I'm still rooting for the kid. Any more cards to come?
That's it, Norman. Steven can now stand down from desperation mode with about $4.5 million. The Seitkins still in position to possibly be the youngest ever main event champ. According to the FullTiltPoker.net tournament ticker, it's not just the champions who are getting younger. As the size of the overall field has been reduced, so has the average age. When play began on day 1, the average age was over 37. Now, with only 19 left, it's fallen to under 29. That trend bodes well both for Seitkins and our 24-year-old chip leader Joseph Chung, who has the action back at the feature table.
David, did you win a bracelet this year?
David Bakesbaker won the bracelet.
Was it a joke? No.
The other one did. I didn't.
Oh, yeah, no. Oh, yeah. No, I knew you had deep runs and everything. I honestly didn't. It was an honest question.
I had a couple final tables, but yeah, he won a bracelet. I didn't.
The 2 Bakers are often confused.
I realize now how that could have came off bad.
Matt and I have something in common. Sometimes we put foot in mouth.
All right, action here on Joseph Chung. 24-year-old born in South Korea, now lives in San Diego. Queen 4 of hearts.
He went out on day 4 or 5 to buy a second hoodie because he thought it would be embarrassing to have only won the entire main event.
From under the gun, he raises to $380. Matt Affleck with pocket tens.
Of course, Matt has 7 Seattle jerseys here at the main event. At the moment, he's worried because Chung raised under the gun. In the old days, if you raised under the gun, you had a big hand. Chung has queen 4.
Suited. It's suited.
Suited.
Pocket tens. Make the call. Jarvis folds over to David. I'm not Bakes Baker. Pocket sevens.
David Baker trying to reclaim his name. Lon, you and I are ahead of the game. Nobody wants either of our names.
You're right about that. From the button, Baker just with the call.
He's also respecting Chung's under the gun raise.
Habib, the oldest player, left at 48. Baker, the next oldest, at 38. Habib folded, so 3 players will see the flop. The flop is Jack Ace 10, Affleck with a set of 10s, Chung with a Broadway draw, Baker with a 1% hand. Chung bets 525.
The continuation mistake.
Affleck with the best hand, just with a call.
I signaled to Matt to just call, and he has.
Very nice. Baker lays down, smart move.
And the remaining players keep their faces well covered.
Turn card is a queen. That puts a Broadway draw on board. The best Chung can do is chop it if a king comes. Chung comes out with $1.125 million.
Chung fires a third barrel. My guy has to worry that Chung hit Broadway.
That is a worrisome board, and Affleck just with the call. The river card, Trey of Spades, Affleck officially with the check mark with his set.
Does Joseph Chung have one more round of hooey in him? It's possible he picked up a case of hooey at Costco earlier today.
Chung now checks.
I have signaled to Matt to bet his set.
Check.
He missed the signal. The queens will come up short against the set. And Affleck takes that pot.
Here comes Matt Affleck.
Please don't put 1 of 6 cards on the turn.
Chung took the hit. He's still our chip leader, about even on the day. Matt a bit frustrated that the straight draw on board kept his big gun holstered, but a win is a win. Time now for Straight from the Pros, brought to you by PokerStars.net. 2 keys to taking down a final table are knowing your opponent and trusting your reads. Just ask Daniel Negreanu about facing Bryant King and Tunica in 2006.
I raised with 2 6s for 40,000, and Bryant was really re-raising a lot before the flop.
200 more.
But I started to feel like I got a read on his bet sizes. I'd seen some of the hands he turned over, and it seemed like the bigger the raise size, the more likely for it to be like a marginal hand like ace king, pocket nines, or something like that.
That's a big raise.
My dead read was that he had ace king exactly.
And Daniel calls it right away.
The flop came queen 4-3, and he bet 200,000, and that struck me as like very kind of a weak bet. And I looked at him, and he did not look confident to me. I decided to go with my gut. I moved all in.
Daniel doesn't think King has a bigger pair, and he's right.
He kind of shook his head and said, oops.
Go ahead, Daniel.
My read on the situation was that I was ahead, and I'm always going to look towards situations like that as situations where I can really push people around. The lesson for the hand for me was just to go with your read, stick your money in.
Back inside the Rio, only 19 remain at day 8 of the main event. Let's take a look at how things stand. First, the top 9, where Joseph Chung is still on top. Matt Affleck has climbed back among the leaders, sits just above chip average of $11.5 million. Among the rest, the grinder has a lot of work to do, but not as much as John Dolan and Brandon Steven, each with fewer than 15 big blinds. One of our final 19 will be wearing that World Championship bracelet come November 9th. Action here at table 2 on Michael Mizrachi. King Jack.
It took him forever to make a World Series final table, and now it seems that's all he does.
From under the gun, he raises to $380,000. McKeel Sykens with an ace and a 10.
He is in his 3rd year of college in Rotterdam, studying logistics and transport management.
He re-raises the action to $960. On the button, John Dolan, a very short stack with queens.
Come on.
And his last $2.2 million are in the pot.
John Dolan doesn't know from logistics. He just knows pocket queens. And as you mentioned, chip-wise, he is in the danger zone.
So action folds over to amateur Brandon Steven and the big blind with pocket nines. He is the shortest stack in the room.
Pocket nines, though, shrink when there are 3 raises in front of you.
Brandon Steven.
Good fold.
Frustrated.
Well, it was about to be a good fold.
Yeah. He does lay it down finally. Over to Rocky, and the pro lays down King Jack. Seipkins made the call to put Dolan at risk.
It was for 10% of Seipkins' stack. Dolan with that uneasy look on him.
On Dolan with his tournament life on the line again. All right, here's the flop. 6-9 trade. Dolan's pocket queens stand strong. Brandon Stevens sees he would have flopped a set. Seipkins looking for help. The turn card does not bring it.
An ace on the river, and John Dolan's going home.
The river card is a 7, and Dolan will double up to almost $5.3 million.
John Dolan out of the danger zone.
Seipkins down to about $10 million.
Grinder. 2 nines, right? 2.26.
I knew you have 2 nines. Wow, so sick. But if I would have known a 9 was,
I would have thought of Jacks a while.
Jack's 9's the same thing there.
Jacks and 9s are not the same thing right there. You don't think I put it in with 10s there? Are you crazy?
So John Dolan still alive in his bid to make the final table. 19th place and 18th place are also not the same thing, and it's not just a point of pride that makes it worthwhile. There is a difference of almost $80,000 between finishing 19th and 18th. Back of the feature table, chip leader Joseph Chung on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky Pocket Cam, Pocket 9s.
He says the hoodie helps him to not give away any tells. It tells me he doesn't have a nice shirt to wear.
He raises it up to $380,000. Matt Affleck back among the living with pocket deuces here.
80th last year in a field of 6,500. A top 20 finish guaranteed this year in a field of 7,300. That is some back-to-back performance for Mr. Affleck.
He makes the call. Matt Jarvis will fold. Folded over to Filippo Candio in the small blind.
This is his only sweater, right?
It is indeed the lucky sweater and lucky pocket queens, maybe. He just calls. Big blind, Hassan Habib folds.
3 pocket pairs in search of a flop set.
This could be dangerous for someone. The queens are ahead right now. 9, ace, 5. Chung with a set of 9s. Candio checks. Joseph Chung checks his set.
Chung with the sneaky check. Affleck with the sublime check.
Turn card is an 8 of clubs. Chung still best. Affleck now drawing dead. Candio drawing very thin, but takes a stab with those queens. 475. Chung raises to over $1.5 million. Matt says maybe next time.
Good for him.
Candio doesn't believe Chung. He's got chips, but he pulls them back.
He can't do that. That's forward motion. The dealer should tell Filippo the chips gotta stay.
Candio says fold.
Yeah, time.
I'm not sure they're going to let him though, Norman.
He did. He came over with the million.
They're right. Yeah. It's almost like the goal line in football with his forward motion. He crossed the plane of an imaginary line.
He made a motion. It might be a call.
And now another tournament official comes over.
Okay, it's a call.
Officials say Candio's chips have to go in the middle. That rule is to prevent someone from acting like they're going to call just to see the other player's reaction.
All right, so here's the river card. It's a 4 of hearts. Chung now with the check mark.
I don't think Filippo was shooting an angle on the turn. He just had a change of heart, and he had to put the million in.
Candio checked it.
2.25 million.
Chung says $2.25 million.
Chung saw Candio wanted out. He knows his set is good, and he's hoping Candio is priced in now and will call. Filippo's got no business calling at this point.
Candio may be thinking that Chung's trying to, how do you say it, swaggle-foos him, Norman?
You got it.
I called.
He made the call! And Chung shows him the set. Candio has to ship the chips.
Well, that pump fake mistake ended up costing Filippo an extra $3.3 million. Filippo tried to fold on the turn, and he should have folded on the river.
Wow, a river bonus for Chung.
Did you river 2 pairs?
I sat on the river, mate.
Set on the river?
Filippo did not hit a set, trying to save face there, and Filippo perhaps upset at the ruling and upset at himself.
Filippo will walk this one off. No singing from him now.
Set on the river, that's insane.
Just about everything that could go wrong did go wrong for Filippo. And Joseph Chung moves further ahead of the bunch as the main event pressure is ratcheted up. 19 players remain. But the final 2 tables have only 18 seats.
One time.
Yes. In this high-stakes game of musical chairs, the next man out will go home, and those who remain will be 1 table away from a spot in the November 9. Perhaps the most surprising person still in the main event here at the Rio is Soy Win, who admits he really doesn't know that much about poker. He's not only in the final 19, but among the chip leaders. He's in a hand right now at table 3 with Dewey Lay. They just saw a flop of king, 10, ace.
Win inexperienced, but he is getting help on breaks from his friend, top pro Nam Lee.
Soy bets 550,000. Lay with the call. Turn card, 5 of hearts. Win now with $1 million.
Lay, 10 years, Soy Win's junior, but with a lot more poker under his belt.
Lay calls with 10 lavender chips, a deuce of diamonds on the river. Win with $1.7 million. Dewey Lay matches him, and Soy Win mucks his cards. And so Lay will take that pot and shows a pair of aces.
Boy, we have seen Dewey Lay just owning Soy Win on day 8, and you saw how fast he made that river call. He knew Win was bluffing.
Soy Win gives up another 3 million chips to Dewey Lay. The chip average just above 11.5 million. Joseph Chung has been the chip leader for a while now. Currently at the featured table, he sits with just about 29 million chips. Condio still smarting from that earlier hit with 13 million.
That earlier hit was his pump fake disaster against Chung.
Condio says raise with 7-5 of spades. He gets right back on the horse.
Filippo getting frisky with small suited connectors in early position.
A raise to 385.
Amazing to see Hassan Habib still here. He's had no chips and no cards forever.
Pocket aces for Chung this time on the button.
That is the best starting hand in Hold'em, Ron.
It is. And Chung knows how to play him. He re-raises to just over 1.1 million.
Do you know what the second best starting hand is, Lon?
The other 2 aces?
Oh, I never thought of that. Boy, you do great on the Wonderlic test. You're ahead of me.
Condio with the call. And he will joust with the chip leader once again. Here's the flop. It is 5-6-6. Aces up for Chung now. Condio with a lesser 2 pair, 5s and 6s. Condio checked. Chung with 1.5 million and change.
Raise.
Condio says raise.
No pump fake from Filippo. He declares verbally that he's going to put some chips in bad.
4.4.
4.4.
Filippo gets a little out of line. He check raises. He says 4.4 million.
Chung in the driver's seat.
How much do you start the hand with, approximately?
Condio mum.
7.5, right at 8.
I'm all in.
Chung, the biggest stack in the room, re-raises Condio all in. That gets everyone's attention.
Chung has the big stack and the best hand. And if Condio calls here, the November 9 will just be another date on his calendar.
Condio giving this some thought.
I call.
And he makes the call, Norman.
Oh, Filippo.
Wow.
That's it.
And Condio steps into the abyss. And he knows his bid to become the first Italian-born player to make the main event final table is all but over.
How do you say blow up in Italian? Almost 27 million chips in the balance and Filippo Condio at risk.
Can you believe how many chips Joseph Chung is going to have if he wins this hand?
Oh my goodness, over 40 million.
Condio was in knee deep and now he is in neck deep.
Condio looks at a turn card now of an 8 of spades. Chung still ahead. Condio picks up an up and down straight draw. That's got everyone buzzing.
Chung still in position to become the runaway chip leader. No signs of singing from Condio, but there's still some hope on the horizon. Condio would need a 4, 5, or 9, or he is busted.
All right, now the river card is the 4!
I would call that excessive good fortune.
Runner straight for Condio. Chung wonders why me?
Well, that celebration looked like a scientific experiment gone awry.
Filippo Condio is the man of the hour. Joseph Chung knocked down to 7th place.
He absorbs the blow silently. Condio called all in with a 13% chance of survival. Runner straight, and he is now the chip leader.
Just when Chung looked like the 40 million chip man, a miraculous turn of events gives Filippo Condio almost 27 million chips, and suddenly he's the man to beat.
Ultimate Bet, we constantly perfect and test our software to ensure it's the fastest, most advanced around. We can solve with the best. So our tournament structure and player interface, wow, like no other. But there's one test that totally cleans up at the table. One test that truly defines the ultimate poker experience. Nice! Very nice!
The World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Back at the Rio, Filippo Candio still savoring his runner miracle.
Nice hit, man. Nice hit.
I'm wrong, because when he say me how much you have and you count, I know that I'm not committed.
Fair enough, dude. Hey, you don't got to justify anything to me. Nice hand, and you got the stack, dude.
I gamble. Only gamble.
But with that gamble, he should be in a cab to the airport now.
Joseph Chung still in shock. He lost both that huge hand and the chip lead in the process. Let's take a look at how these two stack up on the tail of the tape. Brought to you by the official WSOP game. Play now on Facebook. Both men have won their share of hands, but only one of them has seen his chip stack grow larger because while Chung has taken an additional heads-up pot, the differential reminds us that all came from one hand.
Indeed, one lucky card and one big hand skews all the stats. Filippo Candio won the biggest pot of the main event so far, and as a result, he is the new chip leader.
Chung had such a big stack before that hand, he remains in the top 9. To table 2, John Dolan way ahead with his aces against the king-queen held by 21-year-old Mikhail Sipkins. Here's the flop. It is ace-deuce-deuce, a full boat for John Dolan.
Sipkins is drawn dead to running deuces to chop the pot. I'd love to see that.
Check. Dolan laying in the weeds. He checks. Sipkins checks as well. Smart kid. Turn card is a jack, and now Sipkins drawing dead. Dolan with the check mark. He now bets 525.
Sipkins picked up a Broadway draw, but there is drawing dead, and there is drawing very dead. This is very dead.
He does make the call. I believe he's drawing dead, Norman. River card is a 10. Oh, my. Sipkins hit his straight. That may leave a mark.
Tell me this isn't happening to the kid. Nothing worse than drawing very dead and getting there.
Dolan, that's $1.1 million.
If Sipkins called 911 now, they tell him we can't help you, you're dead.
He announces raise.
Oh, Jesus, it's just like you're already in the coffin, you're being lowered into the ground, and you remember you left the water running in the bathtub. It doesn't matter, you're dead.
That's almost all of Dolan's stack.
All in.
All in.
And now Dolan re-raises all in.
And now he's just kicking dirt on the grave. It's just another $860,000 to Sipkins, and the pot is over $8 million. The dead man's got a call.
He does, and in exchange will receive some very bad news. And Dolan is off the mat with over $9 million now.
I don't really know how else I'm supposed to play it. Unlucky, nothing you can do.
John Dolan sheepish about robbing the cradle, or the grave.
That is Dolan's second double up at Sipkins' expense, and that should allow him and his parents to breathe a bit easier about making the decision to become a professional poker player.
I told my parents around the third year I was going into college I didn't want to keep going, and I felt like I was wasting my time. And they didn't like that whatsoever, but I pretty much told them that's what I wanted to do. I kind of liked the freedom of the game, the ability to play when you wanted to and not having someone telling you what to do all the time. And I've always been pretty competitive in everything I've done. It's pretty funny because this is probably the only aspect of life, I guess, that I've been semi-disciplined, because it's a huge part of the game.
I call.
You definitely have to be very disciplined.
I got you.
I got it. My parents eventually came around once they saw that I was making enough money to live off of.
Wow.
Just want nice things and not have to worry about anything. $9 million's enough to not have to worry about much.
Dolan says he wants to win enough money so that he only has to play poker when he wants to. If he outlasts 18 more people, he should be in great shape.
Back to our featured table, and it's time for the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wildcard hand.
6 of hearts, 2 of spades.
We don't even know who it is yet.
That doesn't help me.
It's Joseph Chung. You might be right.
Well, he's a tough guy to figure. He reminds me a little of a Jonathan Duhamel.
Chung's going to raise it up from under the gun +1 to 475.
Let me think about it for a sec.
Ace 10 for Affleck.
Can you hear me thinking?
Yeah, I can hear you. Matt Affleck in the cutoff position. Re-raises to $1.3 million.
I'm still thinking. Sorry, I'm publicly educated.
Folded back over to Chung. And he commits the chips to a call.
Well, from UTG +1, Chung originally could have raised with anything. I'll put him on Jack 10 suited.
All right, here's the flop 7-7-5. Affleck does not pair up. Chung checks.
If he had picked up a flush draw there, I think he would have bet it.
Matt, very Chris Ferguson-like with that check.
I think it's a battle of bupkis.
Turn card is a third diamond, 6 of diamonds. Affleck with a nut flush draw now.
Oh, here comes Chung.
He wants to bet it. Just over 1.6 million.
I think he's posturing. Maybe he picked up a flush draw or straight draw. I'm not sure my boy Matt can call him, though. But maybe Matt's got the same read I do. That's never a good thing.
No, it's not. Matt has some chips once again to play with, and he does make the call.
Maybe he's thinking Chung is a bald-faced imposter. I'm still thinking Jack 10.
9 of clubs on the river. Chung now checks again.
I don't think it's a check raise. Rather, I think Chung's waving a white flag. Now, does Matt want to bluff at it?
I check.
Nope, he checks too.
You got it.
Chung says you got it.
Really?
And shows King 10 of hearts, complete air.
Oh, maybe Chung should have bet again, but I was right. He had nothing. Every donkey has his day. Today is mine.
Matt Affleck with ace high wins the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand. He's trying to become the first man to win a world championship in a Seattle jersey since the Supersonics in 1979.
We play for big pots, small stakes, and the chance to say, read 'em and weep. For the weekends, the all-nighters, and the lunch hour. We play for the legends and for the unknowns who dream of winning it all. For the bad beats and the pocket kings we sometimes have the sense to fold. We play at FullTiltPoker.com.
Main event continues on day 8 here at the Rio. We are one elimination away from consolidating the field to 2 tables. The current chip leader is the main event's own version of Houdini, Filippo Candio.
I still can't believe the hand we saw that made Filippo Candio chip leader.
He looks down at pocket 5s.
He says he loves the stress of the game and the emotion of the game. He got his money's worth against Chung.
And from early position, he's going to raise it up to 510,000.
Pinch me line if Hassan Habib ever gets a hand or gets some chips.
Fold that over to Jason Sentai on the button with 2 queens.
I don't like the visor, Lon. It's like you don't want to fully commit to the baseball cap.
With a raise in front of him from the chip leader.
Real men don't wear visors.
Sentai re-raises to $1,275,000.
See, my guy Matt, he's got a baseball cap on. He's a man.
He folded. Candio needs $765,000 more to call. And he can afford it. Heads up now.
A visor and shades? He's trying to get on my bad side.
Prevent any soul reads here. I'll put on glasses.
Sentai ahead with the queens. The flop is 9-8-7. The queens still have the advantage. Candio with a gut shot, and he checks.
It looks like Filippo's way behind and probably on his way to a straight.
Turn card. Tray of hearts. Sentai's still good. Candio still needs a 6 for a straight, and he checks again.
I'm not big on beards either.
Sentai is not your guy. And Jason says, enough free cards for the chip leader. I'm going to make you pay before you suck out on me. Over $1,500,000.
Well, I don't like the visor, the shades, or the beard, but I like the bet.
In the middle is Jason's wife, Jessica, among a big group of supporters. And Candio makes the call.
He's calling? Maybe he puts Sentai on just 2 big cards, but then why not raise and end it?
Another 7. Sentai gets the check mark. He has queens up. Candio checks.
2.7.
Sentai bets. Now Candio.
Well, Sentai has bet almost half the pot. Filippo looks like he might not be a believer. He's getting a little more than 3-1 on a call here. Actually, it's closer to pi to 1, Lon. Pi
to 1?
Oh, yeah.
I call.
Candio calls. And just like that, Filippo has dropped out of first place as Sentai takes that big pot.
We saw Filippo check call the river against Chung and now against Sentai and lose a bunch of chips. In between, he made a straight from heaven to stick around.
We're looking for
Team Sentai on its feet. A nice win by Jason. He's now over $14 million. Candio down to $20 million. Let's take a look at the updated leaderboard where Candio has fallen to 3rd place behind John Racer and Pascal Lafrancois, but it's still a very tight race for the overall chip lead. LaFrancois, of course, seeking his second bracelet of the year. As for the shorter stacks, the other 3 bracelet winners, Mizrahi, Clements, and Habib, are among the 5 smallest totals, and Hassan Habib in the cellar with only $2.3 million. We are only 1 player from consolidating down to 2 tables. Out at table 3, Ben Stotts moved all in after the flop. Jonathan Duhamel is debating the call.
How much trust me?
It's for about 1/4 of Duhamel's chip stack.
We're left. 1, 2.
Stotts, the amateur from New York, CEO of a proprietary trading firm.
Stotts started the hand with a little more than $5 million. Duhamel with about $19 million. There is Katie Lederer, Ben's girlfriend. Duhamel lays it down. Ben Stotts will not be put at risk.
You have to wonder, what's it going to take to get Howard Lederer or Annie Duke out here to cheer for Ben Stotts? He's practically their boyfriend-in-law, and he's in the final 19.
So Ben doesn't get a call. He adds a few big blinds to his small stack. Let's move across to table 2 once again, and 21-year-old Dutch college student Michiel Sipkens. Sipkens looks down at 2 blackjacks.
Pocket jacks is like drawn dead.
I'm all in.
Oh, he's all in for almost $2.5 million. So now over to John Racner. Racner with a king and a queen.
Painted rags.
I call.
Nope. Enough to make the call and put Sipkens at risk.
Racner second in chips. Risked about 11% of his stack with king-queen. He could afford it. And now the man trying to become the youngest main event champ ever is at risk.
Racner will try to get us to our final 18.
I hope to see 10s.
Sipkens had hoped Racner had an under pair, but he's up against 2 overcards. Here's the flop, and it's 4 queen 9. Racner pairs his queen. Sipkens in trouble.
1 foot out the door for Michiel Sipkens.
Clubs.
He's looking for an escape route. Turn card is a 7 of clubs. Racner still ahead. Sipkens with a flush draw.
Sipkens needs a jack or a club or he's gone.
River card is a deuce of hearts. Racner wins the hand, knocking out Michiel Sipkens in 19th place.
The 21-year-old student with a big payday, and Joe Caddick can rest easy.
Sipkens graciously bows out of this main event. So that hand changes everything. John Racner takes the chip lead. Michiel Sipkens takes the walk, meaning we're down to 2 tables, and Joe Caddick's record is safe for another year. But who will succeed him and take home poker's biggest prize? Day 8 began with 27 players. We're now down to 18.
Final 18 feels great.
Some went home earlier than planned, and some stayed longer than expected. But as the field has shrunk from 3 tables to 2, we're getting closer to the one and only table that matters. Next up, naming the November 9, who will advance and who will be left behind. For Norman Chad, I'm Lon McCarran. The march to the final table continues next time from the World Series of Poker.
Ciao America, ciao ESPN.